All right, everyone, welcome to our next podcast. This one is going to be all about Marvel and might even hit on some aspects of just everything going on in our lives. First off, I want to talk about some of the upcoming projects that they have coming out. Um, right now, the big one that they've been pushing is Black Widow, and then they've been pushing um, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is the next series that's coming out next month. So I don't know which one I'm more excited for. I think I'm pretty excited for Black Widow because it's been over a year just about since all the COVID and stuff. So I'm really excited to see what they planned on doing with Black Widow, but I'm still excited to see where they're going with this new chapter in phase 4, I believe, and what they plan on doing with the Falcon. I know just seeing like the previews and stuff of Falcon and Winter Soldier, their chemistry looks great together. They're like kind of going off of each other and laughing, making fun of each other. So I think it's going to be kind of a love hate relationship. It seems like, but let's just start with Black Widow. Luke, what do you think? What are you excited about?
I'm still excited to find out what happened in Budapest, to be honest.
I know that's
One thing
I
I'm
got
still wanting to know is if we're going to go back and cover kind of what was going on with that.
now. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to joke around and say, "Yeah, you remember that time in Budapest?" And that's all it's going. It's going to be like dangling it in front of us
Yeah, they're just going to hint at it again without actually discussing it. It's just
because
like, oh, we thought we told you guys what happened in Budapest.
yeah,
Go on for 6 years without telling us.
because there's kind of something I want to talk about later. They're doing a Hawkeye series, which they're going to introduce his daughter and things like that. So I'm thinking somewhere you've got to tell us about Budapest. That's it's
I
just
think
hanging out there.
I think they need to start with it. I really do. I think in the Black Widow series that if not where they pick up, either go back to the very beginning and kind of show her origin story, which would be really cool. They've given us some snippets of it and some hints at it through the rest of the Marvel movies, especially in like Age of Ultron and uh, things like that. So they've hinted at it, but they haven't ever really spelled out just where exactly she came from. And since they haven't really done an origin story with her yet, they just kind of said, "Oh, she's started in Iron Man 2," and just said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, she's an agent." Like, let's go back and let's find out, and then let's see where her and Clint actually know each other from, or how they got intertwined.
And see, and from what I've read, the premise of the new movie is supposed to be after the events of Civil War. So this is after all the fighting between the groups and her kind of going back and forth between the sides who she's choosing for. So I'm kind of curious how much of the past is she's going to find, and I know we're going to see some more bad guys and things like that, but I'm just curious what they're going to connect between Civil War and the Infinity Wars. Ryan, what do you think?
Regarding uh, Black Widow, I think the biggest part of Black Widow that we're probably sort of overlooking is Florence Pugh, who I think is going to be the lead going forward for that character. I don't know if she'll still be called. I don't know if she'll take over the mantle of Black Widow or if she'll be called whatever her name is or whatever her code name is in the movie. But I'm pretty certain that she'll be the person going forward. Um, and Black
Which is
Widow's
her
really,
sister, right?
I think so. I don't know if it's her sister or if it's like adopted kind of family, like a blended adopted sort of family. Like they have someone who is, I think his name is Red Guardian. I think he's probably going to be like father figure. Then you have the other lady who's going to be like the mother figure. And then, those are the two sister figures of that. So I would think that they're going to use her Florence Pugh is a good actress. You just don't, I don't think you just use her for one movie and then, be done with her. I feel like they'd have some kind of a plan for her going forward.
Well, this is what I don't know. I've pretty much had seen Black Widow in a little bit of some comics, and then mainly got to know more of her in the movie or the movies. So just reading here, the girl is a sister figure, so it's not her actual sister, and she does take the name of Black Widow.
Right, same.
It also says that she's been a member of Shield, Hydra, and a bunch of different things. So she's been on both sides of the stuff in the comics.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expect to happen. Honestly, whatever's about to happen, and I'm kicking it over a little bit here. The future is so uncertain at this point with what Marvel's doing, just because of what's going on in WandaVision and then what they're trying to set up post WandaVision. So whatever, we'll get a clearer picture. No, take that step back a little bit. We will get a fuzzy picture whenever WandaVision ends, and then that picture will get a little bit clearer whenever Spider-Man and Doctor Strange come out. We'll start to really understand that. They're casting right now, or I don't know if they're actually casting for it, but Marvel has met with the writers for Fantastic Four, or people that are going to be writing or potentially writing Fantastic Four. I don't know if they've actually had writers set for it, set in stone for it, but they're meeting with writers. That was reported this week. So, and then, with certain aspects of WandaVision, we know that the Young Avengers are going to be set up. I mean, that's just, that seems pretty set in stone at this point, that they're going to do Young Avengers soon. So, yeah. And I would imagine that her character, Florence Pugh's character, is going to be a part of that somehow, some way. Not just Young Avengers, but, the Marvel Universe. So that's what I think about Black Widow. I can't wait to see the movie. But, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to learning, is what happens to some of these characters that are being introduced in this film.
Oh yeah.
Because you can't, I don't think you bring back Natasha. Two characters you just don't bring back at this point are Natasha and Tony. There's no reason to bring them back. Like in a physical form, that is. So, I think their characters are done in that way. And so I'm not necessarily worried about her character. I'm more curious about the other characters in the movie.
Right. So before we move on with that, Ross, what do you have to say about Black Widow?
I'm kind of like with Luke. I kind of want to see, a little bit of the origin story. How she made that comment in the very first Avengers movie. I got a lot of red in my ledger. What does that mean? What does all of that entail? Does that indicate that, at some point I was a very bad person?
Yeah.
That did bad things, and which, talk about WandaVision, essentially, Wanda, or Scarlet Witch and Pietro or Quicksilver were bad. They were villains to start off with. They became good. What happened? Yeah, what happened in Budapest?
Yep.
How did her recruitment into Shield happen? How did her and Hawkeye become the teammate, the duo that they became? Who are these these characters?
Yeah, I want to see kind of what turned her to think I want to join Shield, or was she joining Shield to be a spy, and then all of a sudden decided, oh, Hydra is actually bad, or whatever it was. I kind of want to see what happened with that.
Yeah, and I imagine with these films, I mean, you're going to get a taste of that. You might not get a full-on origin story. You might get that. Somewhere in the future. But some type of, I'm sure we'll get snippets, flashbacks, to fill in the gaps. Where she came from, how she became who she was, or with the red in the ledger, and then her moving into Shield. And how these new characters are going to play into that role. Of course, I agree with Ryan too. When Black Widow sacrificed herself in Infinity War. There's no there is no reason at this point to move her into Phase 4 to try to bring her back, because I think that's going to take too much.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like Tony Stark's character, her character, Captain America, they've kind of moved past. Obviously, they see something else that they're moving forward with Thor, with his new movie, his interaction with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And like, I know, and we'll probably hit on some of this later, but like the Ironheart TV series that they're wanting to do, and some other things like that, they're wanting to have Tony Stark a part of, and you could have him in just for like an episode or kind of like a part-time thing where he's on like
almost.
Yeah, and that could be something that's from the past, or he developed all that AI stuff, so he could have like a Jarvis version of himself that just kind of pops up and shows up for the TV show or does the voice for, but that way you're not really, bringing his character back. Let's say, it's just like Coulson. Yeah, I can relate and say, well, they brought Coulson back, but then again, you've got to, like Ryan was saying, you've got to start introducing the Young Avengers. You've got to start bringing in the next group, which is the Black Panther, the Captain Marvel, this whole new set of Avengers.
Yeah.
Because, we're 10 years in, so we, it's another set.
Yeah. It's Phase 4. This is a new crop of movies and TV shows. Yes, some of these TV shows and movies are going to fill in the gap for what we don't know so far, but you do have to continue to move forward if you're Marvel, like with the Young Avengers, Fantastic Four, Ironheart, Thor, Love and Thunder, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the people who are for one still alive.
Yeah.
And not trying to appease the crowd, and the fans who want Tony and want Scarlet Witch, Black Widow back, because you're gonna take up too much time coming up with a storyline that's gonna bring them back, and they don't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like anything else. Like if you looked at Harry Potter or your favorite novel or something like that, there's a time for a character to be brought in, and there's a time for a character to be brought out, and you want to make sure that their death, if that character does die, is a purposeful, unique, like it adds to the storyline kind of death.
Yeah.
Don't just kill off your character just to kill them off because you're tired of them, or like with Rhodey, they switched out roles because the first actor had some issues or something like that, so they bring in Don Cheadle to fill that role, but the character doesn't die until it's time. Like with Tony Stark, he fulfilled a purpose. His last work was done. It's time to move him out.
Yeah.
Hey, so David, what do you think about Black Widow? What are you excited about?
For me, I don't know. Like every one of y'all touched on really good points.
Well, thank you. I know we did.
Yeah, so I can't really say much, but I think this is the main villain, Taskmaster, whatever how you say his name. Like that would be, I would like to know more about him.
Yeah.
Then
there's a lot of villains that I'm, that they haven't even introduced that were the main guys against the Avengers, or even, the Spider-Mans and the Iron Mans, that I'm like, man, I wish they would really introduce them.
Yeah, but if you're gonna bring back Tony, wouldn't you like do the timeline, like take Tony from a different timeline, but in the same, wouldn't that ruin that timeline?
That's what I was saying, David. That's what I was saying.
Unless you put him back in the same timeline at the same time that you took him.
It's that I think that, like I said, that becomes too complicated, for the storyline they've already written, and it just doesn't fit. Tony started by saying, "I'm Iron Man," and then he ended by saying, "I'm Iron Man." I mean, so you kind of ruin all of that if you try to bring him back. Like I love that idea, like, because he was able to record. Tony was a genius. He recorded himself in the event that he died, so he could talk to his daughter. So what if he was able to come up with some type of AI software that kind of, had a limited number of responses, that his own Jarvis, like he's Jarvis, he's become Jarvis himself almost, but not quite. You know what I mean? If you want to write him a storyline like that, that would be cool. But to totally bring him back, I think destroys, his send off.
Well, like Luke said, deaths have to be purpose, have a purpose.
And it was, and that right, it had a purpose.
They did several different characters scenes where they killed somebody off. They did that in the Civil War movies. They did it in Age of Ultron, but they chose, well, Quicksilver's going to die here. This person's not going to die here, and they had different characters all through the Infinity War and Endgame that were supposed to die, but they decided, let's go the route of Tony Stark, and they talk about the Iron Man movie being a gamble, the whole Marvel Studios being a gamble. We're just going to go in all in and create this studio, and we're going with this Iron Man movie, show our cards, and it ended up being the start of something and pretty much taking over comics, the movies, everything. Because I can't remember what actor I saw a couple months ago said that the only thing that will save the actual movie theaters right now, since a lot of things are going straight to streaming because of COVID, they said would be the superhero movies. That'd be the only thing to save actual theaters.
That'd be kind of apt too, like the heroes.
Yeah.
Come to save the day.
And so, and I felt,
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters is Iron Man. Him and Spider-Man were probably my favorite. Not really going with like a group like X-Men, things like that, but those were my single comics that I really loved reading growing up. And to see my favorite person, pretty much Robert Downey Jr., who is Tony Stark in real life, like he didn't have to act. That's just him being himself on camera. For him to end like that, I just thought that was, pretty much the way it should have ended for me. And then seeing all
Did
the
y'all
characters.
cry?
Well, yeah, I'm still crying.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't.
I'm a man.
Yeah.
But to see all the characters there at the end, even the little kid from Iron Man 3, General Ross, Samuel L. Jackson, all those characters right there at the end of the movie, that was just kind of a cool thing. And then putting his first arc reactor that he had in his chest out in their little lake. So, so I'm going to read off, and this is pretty much been confirmed. And like what Ryan was talking about a while ago, a lot of things are just kind of in talks and whatnot. These are some of the television series. Of course, we know WandaVision's already being done. It's got 2 more episodes. We'll touch on that here in a little bit. The Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming out next month, but then you have Loki. You have What If, in case you don't know what that's about. The What If comics were just like, what if X-Men or Wolverine joined Magneto? What if Captain America joined Hydra? That's kind of the scenarios this is. And this is supposed to be something I've read where they're bringing back some of the characters like Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, and some of these older guys where they've signed on to do some of these shows. And I know that's already being worked out. And I don't know some of the episodes they're wanting to do, but I know the guy who plays Crossbones, name slipped my mind right now, from the Captain America movies. His character is supposed to be brought back. But then we have Miss Marvel. I know David would be more familiar with Miss Marvel. She's a character, especially in the Avengers video game that's come out, one of the main characters. But she has where her body can stretch and resize and things like that. That's a series coming out. Hawkeye, which we talked about earlier. Moon Knight, She-Hulk, which there's actually going to be, I've read Mark Ruffalo is supposed to be cameoing in that. the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, which I talked about, Armor Wars, which pretty much goes in all together with War Machine, pretty much all of Tony Stark's tech, and then it's not titled, but a Wakanda series based on the whole land of Wakanda. So the Secret Invasion, Ironheart, all those, I've read those series and stuff growing up, so I'm super, super excited about those. But I'm interested in seeing Moon Knight, and since these are TV shows, I don't feel like it's going to be, Luke and I have talked about the CW all the time and talked about, the Flash. We've talked about some of the crap. Can't even think his name.
Black Lightning?
Well, no, not Black Lightning. Who's the lawyer that's blonde? Daredevil. Yeah, that guy. But, Luke and I have talked about it would be cool, if these guys could
Punisher
be part of the Marvel universe and stuff instead of have to recast them and have a different Punisher. You know what I mean?
Well, they can now.
They can now.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. They shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just
they're back with Marvel.
They can, but it doesn't seem right. And if you watch The Punisher, dude is the Punisher.
Yeah.
He did such a great job. And I forget the actor's name at the moment. I'm sorry.
John Bernthal.
Yeah, does a great job as the Punisher. Like, you believe he's the Punisher. It's like Hugh Jackman with Wolverine.
I don't know if it's been confirmed. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but there are strong rumors that the guy that plays Charlie Cox, the guy that plays Daredevil, is going to be in the Spider-Man movie.
Well, see, all right. Glad you brought that up.
I'm not saying it's been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure I know there's strong rumors about that.
We all talked about it, even though there are on the costume fitting days, there's videos of Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and some of those characters all showing up at the studio. Well, of course, Tom Holland comes out and says, no, none of these guys are going to be in the movie. He goes, if they are, that's even a surprise to me. I wouldn't be surprised because Tom Holland can't keep his mouth shut in the first place because he's done ruined some of the movies and secrets and things. So it's kind of like, if you tell any of our secrets, you're fired. Or, guys, we're not going to tell him. Let's just tell him. And then we'll put the movie together. And then it's like, Andrew, go stand in the back and we'll have you swing in. And so, Tom Holland's doing all this stuff and doesn't realize Andrew Garfield's just swung in the background or something. And then all of a sudden he's watching the movie on opening night and he's like, oh, they were in the movie.
It's definitely that second one.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I can never believe anything. I hope it's just kind of left out there. I don't want them to say Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield are in this movie. I want it to kind of be like, boom, there they are. And I've heard the same thing about them. Like, one thing was him hiring Murdoch as his legal person to go against the Daily Bugle because of them falsely saying that he's Spider-Man was one talk of the script. So
is that like picking up after the
Spider-Man 2? Yeah, where he came out and said that Mysterio said that Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Revealed the secret.
Yeah.
Okay. That should be interesting.
But I'm interested in it.
I think what's piqued my curiosity is the mutants in the MCU with, the whole WandaVision and everything else.
Yeah.
That's what's piqued my interest. To see how they're going to push forward little by little.
So talking about just the movies, since you were talking about that. So we got Black Widow. We have the Legend of the Ten Rings, which you've seen bits and pieces of those. The Ten Rings had to do with the group that kidnapped Tony Stark and Iron Man. I think you see a little bit of them in Iron Man 3. So you've kind of hinted on those there. You have the Internals, the new Spider-Man movie, the Doctor Strange multiverse movie, which I've heard some things about that, about what they plan on doing with Captain America possibly, and Scarlet Witch. Then you have Thor, Love and Thunder, and then the Black Panther 2, then Captain Marvel 2, the new Ant-Man, new Guardians of the Galaxy, and then pretty strong rumored Fantastic Four, which I've heard recently that
That's not a rumor.
some of the original cast has been, from the original one, has been asked to reprise their roles in the Doctor Strange movie.
Like in the multiverse?
The Doctor Strange multiverse movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
That's
heard
gonna be
that,
weird.
because here's the rumors I've heard about the Doctor Strange, that Chris Evans has been signed on to reprise his role as an evil Captain America,
Uh-huh.
and also as Johnny Storm.
I could maybe see that happening, but I know that the Fantastic Four is not a rumored movie. That's gonna happen.
It
100%.
makes- I don't know. I feel like they've tried that one so many times.
No.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
saying that Marvel has actually said they did it at one of their.
I know what
last
you're saying. I feel like if after the 6th try, you just need to quit it. Like,
Yeah, but it hasn't been Marvel Studios though,
it's true.
Hasn't been Kevin Feige.
because the last crapped out movie, they wouldn't even let Stan Lee give any of his opinion like all the other movies. Usually he'd give his 2 cents and say, well, this is how I see that character doing, and whatever, or he approves it kind of, and they didn't want him any part of that. And that's like, I still never finished the movie. I made it as far as I can make it twice. It's halfway through.
I have not watched that movie, and I have not watched the new X-Men movie.
New X-Men movie. Which one?
The Phoenix one, the Dark Phoenix
Oh,
one,
Dark Phoenix.
or
Oh.
New Mutant.
It was okay.
I'm not gonna watch either one of those movies.
I
Yeah.
liked it a lot better than Fantastic Four.
The last 2
Yeah,
X-Verse
that's the-
movies I watched were Deadpool 2 and Logan.
I saw
Oh, true.
rumor about Doctor Strange is actually supposed to go into old Logan multiverse.
I don't know.
I
I
saw
haven't-
that yesterday.
I mean, I don't know what Sam Raimi's gonna do. I would think some. No, never mind. I just had a thought about a different. I just had a different train of thought for a moment there regarding. I keep thinking about what Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have both said, that there's going to be this Luke Skywalker level cameo for WandaVision. And when you said Logan, I've been thinking about that off and on.
Oh, you're talking about
when
where
you said-
Paul Bettany said that he was fixing to work with somebody that he's always dreamed of working with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people have thought maybe it's going to be Magneto, like Ian McKellen Magneto.
Yeah.
I think some people have, assumed maybe it's going to be Doctor Strange, which I don't think it's going to be Doctor Strange. And my thought just now, like this, there's no backing behind this, and I don't really think this is probably going to be the case. But for some reason, my thought just went to no, it's going to be Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Because Ryan Reynolds as
funny.
Deadpool has been confirmed. Like that's their Marvel Studios has said we're going to make Deadpool 3 in the future,
Well, yeah.
like in the near future. So it wouldn't surprise me if they somehow brought in
since-
Ryan Reynolds to help save the day. And because I mean,
I think they
honestly, his Deadpool is powerful.
30 million to do it.
Well, Paul Bettany said that, he's working with somebody he's always wanted to work with. So I feel like that means that hasn't been anybody in any of the Iron Man movies or any movie that Iron Man has been in since he's either been Jarvis or Vision.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
And I know a lot of his stuff was just voice, so he could go up to the studio and just record his voice, and then they put it into the movie. except for when he became Vision. But that's why I feel like it's not going to be Doctor Strange or anybody.
That's why the thought was it's going to wind up either being Magneto or Charles Xavier, and like not James McAvoy and other guy, but either Ian McKellen or Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
because it's a legendary actor that he's always wanted to work with. This is not a knock on James McAvoy, or other guy whose name Michael Fassbender. It's not a knock on either one of them because I love both of them as actors. But it would, you would think someone older, someone that you probably have watched a lot. Both of them are British actors. They've both been in various plays. I think Paul Bettany has been in various plays. So, that would be someone I could see him having definitely wanted to work with for his whole entire life or a good chunk of his life. And then, now he gets the chance to, even if it's not for a very long time. I can honestly see it being both of them.
It could be. I know, well, until the Ian McKellen things come out, I know Paul Bettany said that nobody has guessed yet correctly who the person is going to be.
So it's totally going to be Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool.
So, Luke, have you or do you plan on watching the WandaVision?
I finished watching them all.
Oh, you did? Okay, because I didn't want to end up bringing up anything and then you planned on watching it. So
my initial reaction to it was that this was not, like, it didn't grab my attention. However, on the first episode, you think, okay, well, this is just them making some kind of spoof of the 50s.
Yeah.
And then you find out that there's a much deeper plot behind it, and there's more to it than that, and that this is really happening kind of in Wanda's, almost her subconscious. Like, she's gone into denial, and because of her mental abilities, she ends up creating her own reality.
Yeah.
All the things that she wants. So it got a lot better, a lot quicker than I realized it was going to.
Here's my thing. Talking about
her beginning, I was like, this is just silly, kind of.
Yeah.
But, I underestimated Marvel. So,
well, like, talking about it, her going into denial, they show this scene in the movie or in the TV show where she breaks into the Sword headquarters and steals Vision.
mm-hmm.
And all this was 5 years later. So this was 5 years after he had died. So it makes me think, what has Sword done with Vision's technology or with their technology with him during this 5 years that we're either going to see more of, or it's going to be introduced in movies or something, for her to think, I found his body finally after coming back from the blip, and now to go into Westview. And now here's another thing, and this might not mean anything, this might be an accident. When we were talking about Fantastic Four, Rambo's daughter had talked about she was going to text one of her engineer people, and they kind of emphasized that. And in the background, and I don't know if y'all have seen the pictures, but there's in the background on a whiteboard, there's a number 4 kind of placed by itself, and it's written just like the logo of the Fantastic Four that they're planning on doing. And a lot of people have hinted that her space engineer could be Reed Richards. That's what, which they could go anywhere with that. It could be another space engineer, but they just say it's kind of weird, the same episode and things like that. Where are they going? But there's still so many questions to me. What's crazy is Agnes or Agatha, I actually remember her. So when that came to reveal itself, that kind of clicked and it kind of made sense to me. I did like them. I was super excited when they brought back the other Quicksilver, because I did like him from the other X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Ross, what do you think?
There's a lot to think. Lot. Like, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch the fact that the number 4, the Fantastic Four. But I think you're right on that one. If that was there, I think that's a play on Fantastic Four and Reed Richards. I'm excited to see who this character is going to be. That is going to, in the next 2 episodes, show up.
Now, hold on 1 second. I heard somewhere where they said that the last 2 episodes were actually going to be an hour long each. Do we know if that's confirmed or is that just talk?
This next episode is going to be 47 minutes long.
40. Okay, well, that's pretty much.
So just 10 minutes longer than it's already.
Yeah, that was confirmed yesterday.
Okay, Ross, go ahead.
This is a lot to unpack.
Well, I like that they bring Darcy, Detective Wu. I like that they brought them in. So this isn't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where you have only Coulson with maybe like Lady Sif in one episode and things like that where they need help. You actually have these 3 people who are connected to, and not counting Wanda and Vision, but these other 3 people that are from, the main movies. But just some things that I've talked with Kelsey, my wifey on, is like in Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man, we thought Maria Hill and Nick Fury were doing all this stuff. We come to find out they were shapeshifters this whole time. And Nick Fury is on a quote unquote beach, and then you see him walking around this headquarters or something, and he's been just kind of hanging out. Well, a lot of people have connected that to being the headquarters, which was actually possibly made by Rambo's mom, and that actually Nick Fury knew about this whole Westview and this situation way before. And so that was kind of a connection to this WandaVision. And now, her daughter has come back from the blip after her mom died. Then I started thinking about her mom dying. Crap, Star-Lord's dad killed his mom. Maybe this Sword agent who's in charge of Sword that seems like a bad guy, maybe he killed the mom, because he wanted to be in charge of Sword.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think I think how she died is how she died.
Well, I think so too, but I could see them doing that because of him wanting control or doing something,
Is there a connection there with possibly with the cancer though? Because when
radiation from all that she's doing, that's a connection. Like that would be a connection. How
many times, the couple times that Rambo attempted to go into the hex, it rewrote her cells, and now she's got cancer. At least I implicated that. That's what Darcy said. She said it's rewritten your cells on a molecular level. No, you're right, because she has powers now.
Yeah. Her character in the comics is called Photon, and she's got magical type powers like Wanda does.
Never mind. So, but yeah,
I would say her mom probably got cancer from exposure to Captain Marvel. And exposure to all the things that they worked on, because you're working on you're Captain Marvel's radiation. Really, truthfully, she's like pure radiation. That's what the stones are. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what kind of gave her cancer, and then everything else.
Before I move,
who is Agatha?
She's a Salem witch, pretty much.
Yeah, in the comics, I don't think she's evil in the comics. She's a mentor of sorts to Wanda, which there's a lot of theory videos out there that are saying that.
Well, Wanda is just Wanda.
It's not necessarily saying that. Yeah, and it's not necessarily saying that last thing you see, which is such a banger of a song. That's from Wanda's perspective. Yeah. That's from her perspective. So it's not necessarily true that Agatha is evil at all. Like that's what that comes from what Wanda's seeing for herself, and so it might be implying for herself that she's evil, and Agatha really might just be trying to show her.
Well, somebody pointed
different
out
way.
on the internet when Rambo was doing an investigation, and that we found out that Agatha has pretty much done everything, pretended to be under a spell when she was talking to Vision, is the one that brought Quicksilver back, killed Sparky, all that stuff. When she opens up I haven't went back and watched it, but when she opens up the basement, that for a second you see her eyes turn purple. And so some people are wondering, did she get put under the spell? And now she's under the spell of Agatha. And now it's going to be Wanda against 3, because then Quicksilver comes up and says Snooper's going to snoop. And then I've got my own thing about that. So is he under Agatha's spell, or is he actually curious of? I'm just I can't wait until Friday to see what's going to happen with that. Like I'm just still on the edge of my seat with this. David, what do you think? You were telling me some stuff earlier about it. What do you think about this?
I think there's a deeper meaning. Like, I think Agatha's not really evil. I think it's like another villain, or maybe 2. One could be like one villain can be like Mephisto or Nightmare from the comics. I don't know. Bringing back Evan Peters, Quicksilver, I don't know if that will, change the next 2 episodes. Like, if he's a really good guy, or trying to figure out how he got there, or is he like somebody else, like somebody like disguised as Quicksilver,
Well,
like Nightmare, or somebody else.
I agree with some people that I've watched talk about this, and they're saying is you don't bring Evan Peters back to not play Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Like there's no story sense. It would only be for the fans for him to be anybody else. But the fact that he's playing Quicksilver and he's got memories of, Wanda's Quicksilver's memories, but he seems to know that he's not,
from the
those aren't
timeline.
his. Like I don't think he's anyone else other than Quicksilver that's been brought from this multiverse.
But what do you think about when she sees a glimpse of him being dead, like she did with Vision?
I mean, she's saying
more of wouldn't it be Agnes's like kind of?
Well, I think that's sort of her own psychosis, though, is that she's used to her Peter being dead, and now he's back. But even she's been distrustful of him being her Peter the whole entire time he's been there.
Yeah, just throw this out there too. Her son, she's like, "That's not your uncle."
Yeah. So she knows her brother's dead, right? And so she broke into the sword facility and took Vision's body, but Vision's body can't decay like a normal human body. Mm-hmm. So it's still reparable, right? She can still fix it, so to speak, and make it like it never happened. But with her brother, he's just a normal human. So his body's beyond repair. She can't do anything for it. Also, his body, who knows what happened to it? It's probably been buried or burned or whatever. It's been disposed of at this point. And so she probably has to, in order to preserve her brother's memories, she probably has to confiscate a different body. So she hijacks the new guy and basically forces him to play the role of her brother. And that's why we see that discord in him, is because he knows that that's not who he is, but he's not strong enough mentally to override it.
Yeah.
So he's aware of what's going on, but he can't do otherwise because he's under her control at the time.
Y'all are watching the
WandaVision.
y'all are watching y'all saw the end scene, right? The after credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very long. Do you know there was an after credit scene after this last episode?
You talking about where he says Snooper's going to snoop?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that to me, that kind of tells me that, whatever memory he had is probably off now. I don't feel like he's not being controlled by whoever was controlling him before. I just, that's how I feel about that. And maybe I'm wrong, but I just kind of feel like that's the case, because you even saw his dress, and I understand that this last episode was this past episode, where it was like The Office and Modern Family, like they were dressed more like today and everything, but just like his own style there, like I kind of thought, like, it feels like whatever veils over him has been lifted a little bit. But I really liked it, the whole Snooper's gonna snoop thing.
Yeah. I said it.
I would expect in the next 2 episodes to have an after credit scene for both, especially the season finale.
Well, I'm really shocked that these other ones haven't had something to kind of leave you ready for the next episode, or even maybe like something from another movie.
Well, look at it like
I think
this.
they're based on like Wanda's reality. Like the reason why we're not having after credits is because it's Wanda's reality. Now, when you seen her go into the basement, right? You see the screen go like kind of down a little bit. That's because we're entering our reality.
Yes.
Now she sees what's happening now and why it's so quiet and all this other stuff. That's why, I think is it Tommy or Billy?
Both of them.
He felt so quiet. He felt so calm.
That's Billy.
Right. Which one of them has the?
I think it's Billy. I'm pretty sure it's Billy.
Right. Can't read Agnes's mind, so he was having problems earlier in Wanda's reality, hearing all these noises, but in Agnes's house he hears nothing. So I mean, she has a spell, I guess, where she's normalized reality in her way into ours. So, that's why we have an end credit for this past episode. It's our reality now.
Some of the power that she's using, make a little note here too, if you weren't, if any of you just, how, I don't know, I'm not going to claim how much attention you paid to it, because you can see things and not really think about them. But a lot of that power, obviously she's drawing from that book, but those people out there that have the watchful eyes and go over all these movies and TV shows screen by screen, think that book might be one of the lost books that was in Doctor Strange, or that wasn't in Doctor Strange, but it was missing in a frame in Doctor Strange. Like, this is where this book would have probably been. So that could actually come from the Sorcerer Supreme school, or whatever you want to call it. So interesting thought there.
Yeah. Like
which would tie in, Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah. And like Luke had said, when I saw previews and I thought, is this how the whole series is going to go? But then I'd see a preview that showed like color and him as Vision, and I thought, okay, well, there's got to be more to it. Like, why are they in black and white, but yet now they're in color? And so when I saw, I had waited already, and I saw like the first 3 episodes all in one day kind of thing. And I was like, okay, so that's the 50s, 60s, and I saw the color coming back, and I was like, okay, so it's kind of making more sense. There's a bigger picture. And then I've been on the edge of my seat the entire 30 minutes thinking I kind of just want to wait till the 9th week and just watch them all at once, because this is kind of bothering me, because I want to just see everything and know what's going on.
If I'm correct, and I know I've read this, I don't know if that person was correct, and that's it's always rumors. You don't know if they're correct or not. But if I'm correct, I think these last 2 episodes are not going to be like based around this television week by week format. Like what I mean is this, the inverse world
Yeah, it's gonna
television
be kind of
formats
like a
going on.
normal thing.
These are going to be normal, because I mean now the veil's been lifted. We know who's controlling this.
Yeah.
We know what they're doing. So I don't know if I don't personally see a reason for there to be another television style.
I don't see it either,
format at
and I
this
think that's
point.
probably why, like you said, the next episode
Unless
is
it's-
supposed to be 47 minutes long.
Unless it's used to, it's used as a weapon of sorts. Like, okay, like you got Rambo, who's, she starts like learning her powers and she uses her powers, but she's still, new at using her powers. So maybe Agatha, or if it's Mephisto, or if it's somebody else that's really, pulling the strings here, they use that television style format to basically put these people at a distance from them. You know what I mean? They use it as a weapon, not as not as what we've been looking at it as, but very much a weapon type thing. There's actually, it kind of reminds me, and I think I know Ross has seen it. I don't know if anyone else has watched this show, but I could see them using it how they did in Supernatural. There's a Supernatural episode where the 2 main characters are going through this television-like world, or television-like reality. And every time they think, all right, we've got to jump on the guy that's doing this, it just like he shifts it to another reality, and they realize that they're stuck and they have to figure out how to get out of it. So he uses it as a weapon against them. And, so I could see something like that happening.
Yeah. David, got any last comments on WandaVision?
No, not at all.
So all your expertise
I'm just looking
is
forward.
gone.
I'm just looking forward to the next episode.
I'm usually looking
So
or actually I'm looking wherever I turn my head and my eyes. But Ross, what about you? Any last comments on WandaVision?
No, it's just been good, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to end.
Luke,
And
what
how
about you?
it'll move. Hopefully it'll. I mean, I'm sure it will, but it'll push us into the next series.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, which will be, I guess, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep, next month.
Yeah,
just
but it got better.
Watching it all unfold, all of it. Every new project that's coming out for the next few years, and how it's all going to connect and tie in.
Yeah. Ryan, anything?
It was Agatha all along.
I don't know. Right now, when
this
you
is
said
actually-
that, I didn't know what to think about that song.
I love it.
And then all of a sudden she goes, and she said, "And I killed Sparky too." And I was like, "Man, that got kind of dark very quickly." I don't know.
I
Yeah.
love it. But I also love anything that Catherine Hahn does. Like, she's always just awesome in everything she plays in.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's such an underrated actress, but she just kills every role. She was great in Parks and Recreation. She was great in Step Brothers. She's just always all around good. And by the way, here's 2 fun facts. That's her singing that song, because she has a singing voice. And then in the show, someone did this. I saw this on TikTok. Someone actually went and pulled this sound and pitched it. So there's this scene in WandaVision, in this last episode of WandaVision, where Wanda's talking to the cameras and the camera talks back to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, it's a man's voice. Well, someone took that voice and they went and put it into their sound thing, and they changed the sound of the voice. And that's Catherine Hahn's voice pitched. Like, that's good filmmaking. That's good television, because you see Catherine Hahn, and she's the one behind the director's chair.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that like she would be the one talking and everything. But I'm trying to find this real quick, because someone pointed this out, and I was like, awesome. But where is it? I think there is going to be MCU content from here until the end of the year, every week from here until the end of the year. So I thought that was awesome to learn or to realize, because like we go into Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then we
Loki,
I think we
or
go into Loki, and then the
What
what if
If?
stuff.
and then Black Widow.
Yeah. So there's
So
going to
after
be.
not having anything in 2020, then we need something.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, before we finish, so I was looking at the What If. I don't know if some of y'all know, Jeffrey Wright is going to play the character the Watcher, and the Watcher is the person that pretty much sees everything that's going on through all of the multiverse, kind of like a Doctor Strange in a way. But this is how the person, the head writer, describes the character. He says it's a guy watching a rat drag a slice of pizza across the platform. He has no interest in becoming friends with the rat, living amongst the rat, or doing rat things. He just goes, man, this is remarkable. Look at the little guy go. He says, this is the Watcher's relationship with humanity. And he said that Jeffrey Wright fits that character to the T. And so that's why he has him. So he's the one that kind of redoes reality and has what if this happens. So here's some of the characters. Now, I don't know if they've already filmed some stuff or some things are going to be used like from deleted scenes from some movies. But
Are you talking about What If?
What If?
It's all going to be animation.
It's going to be animation?
Yeah, it's all going to be animation.
I heard that some of it was going to be live action.
I'm pretty certain that everything's animation, and they've already done it, because like you have Black Panther. You know, what if T'Challa was actually Star-Lord, and prior to his passing.
The reason why I'm asking is because they have Josh Brolin, Chadwick Boseman, Haley Atwell, Jeff Goldblum, Frank Grillo, Sean Gunn. They have all the main people. So, and some of this stuff, I think it's cool that the fact that they're not, if it is going to be the animation, they're not using other people to do the voice for the animation. Yeah. From Natalie Portman down to Paul Rudd. They're even saying that, Stephen Strange, the Collector, Captain America, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, all these are characters that plan on being on it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm ready to finish out 2021 with all the.
I'm ready to start 2021 with all of the MCU content. Not finish it yet. Let's see who we're going first.
Did anybody get a chance to see the Zack Snyder cut for the Justice League? No.
Well, it has not come out yet, so no, haven't watched
the trailer.
Oh, the trailer. I've seen the trailer, but I haven't seen the movie.
What do you think of it?
Well, we're not going to talk about that. This is not a.
Well, I'm just saying.
Marvel.
Kind of nice.
Stick to the better class.
David.
Yeah, true.
No, I liked it. Ryan, what do you think?
I've been super interested in this movie for a long time. I'm still interested in it. I'm not a fan of the picture that they released today.
What was the picture?
It's a picture of Jared Leto as the Joker, but he's in very much he very much looks like the Christ. I'm not a fan of that, and I think I'm offended by it a little bit.
I haven't seen that picture.
It's new, and you could find it. Just put Jared Leto Jesus and Google Images, and that should be the first thing that pops up. Because it's Joker, or Joker Jesus. But I'm not a fan of that picture. Like, I don't know what they're going. I don't know what they're planning on doing with the Joker in that. I know unless they're radically changing the story, I know part of what's going on in that sequence of events is a nightmare world that Batman's dreaming up and everything. So I'd imagine that, I would imagine that that's where that part is from and whatnot. But I don't really like. I don't like that. I don't like that for a couple different reasons. One, it's the Joker. Two, it's the imagery of the Christ. And three, Jared Leto has an actual Messiah complex. So like, we don't need to give that guy any more kind of ammunition to go off. That dude has a cult. That's a fact. You can look it up. He actually has a cult. And so I'm not a fan of that. And I'm still gonna watch the movie because it's gonna be free on HBO Max. And I like Zack Snyder as a person. I think he's a good person, and I think his vision can be a little weird sometimes. But I'm just like, it's not that. There's a line I did not realize that I didn't want crossed, and turns out that's it.
Yeah,
because I'm okay with the Jesus imagery in Superman because if you know anything about the origins of Superman, he's based off of the Messiah. That's what his Jewish creators specifically were doing when they created him. But and Zack Snyder does like to use Jesus imagery in a lot of his movies, but it doesn't like the Joker one doesn't make sense to me, and I don't like it. So, but it's not gonna stop me from watching the movie.
Yeah. Well, before we end, we just talk about some personal things real quick. So how's everybody doing with being stuck in the house for almost a week with all the snow and stuff?
As a teacher, I am ready to see my students again. This whole teaching from home on the computer while they try to do theirs at home, like that's not what any teacher signed up for. Thinking, you know what I want to do with my life? I want to sit at my house and just type instructions for students to follow. Like I'm ready to get back in the classroom, and I'm glad that we're going back tomorrow. As far as my own kids, I love spending time with them. Like, part was pretty easy. It was great. We loved the snow. Loved it. Played in it every chance we could, and at least once a day went out until they had frostbite. I'm just kidding. Have frostbite, but they would have gladly. And so I just loved playing in the snow. And it was great. It was a record setting here in Sheridan with like 18 inches. I think it got up to like 22 in some places. So it was more snow than I've seen in my whole life.
Ross, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm back at work.
Back at work.
But, got the chance to spend time with my wife. We were without power for a whole day. Had to do 3 parts of one episode of The Last of Us 2. Because I get about 20 minutes into it and the lights would go out again. But
and you were losing your internet too, weren't you?
We did for a little bit.
Ross, I know you and I have a similar issue. Did you lose your wife in the snow?
No, she didn't even go out in the snow.
Mine disappeared a couple of times, and I had to dig her out.
I tried.
I turned around and be like, "Where's my wife? Oh, she's in the snow."
See her hand up.
Okay. Yeah.
Got some gaming in. We binge watched Yellowstone. If you haven't seen that, watch that show.
I said Yellow Snow.
I thought it was good too.
Yellowstone. It's on Peacock. Watch it. You won't regret it. Promise. But anyway, no, we're fine. I went back to work today. I actually went back to work Friday, but everything's pretty much melted at this point. So
yeah, the last couple of days down here really helped with it being low 50s and high 50s and stuff. So I think there's one area that still might be a little bit iced over, but I know we're going back tomorrow. So
yeah,
so we'll be good. David, what's on your mind? Hey, wake up.
I'm just ready. For me, I didn't enjoy the snow. Yeah, not being able to, go out and do stuff. It drives me insane.
I understand. There's some people that got to get out and be on the go all the time.
like with the whole COVID started, right? In like February.
Yeah.
Being stuck in the house, it's giving me like depression, like cabin fever type feel. And it's like it's hard, and I put like a lot of stress on my family just being in the house and not being able to kind of like do anything about it. So like, you know, I deal with it like I always deal with certain things, just kind of bottle it up and let it go. And
Yeah,
there's times where
there was
Yeah.
back during all the COVID, Luke and I were always at home with doing our teaching, and then we were also the ones having to teach our own kids because our wives were still getting out and working, and they let us, at that time everything's closed, theaters are closed, sporting events are closed, everything is just shut down. So like May,
Not to mention,
whatever.
we were under like a 2-week quarantine where we
Yeah.
weren't supposed to do anything anyway.
And so I think it was end of April or May, the wives had talked about they're going to give us like a dad pass or whatever you want to call it. And so we went fishing all day. And that way we had no duties whatsoever just because of what we've done, which I was very thankful for, because that's besides me going, because our kids, for one, hadn't even been outside the house.
Yeah.
Because, I hadn't even taken them to Walmart because at that time we really didn't have any masks. I didn't know what to do with that. I hadn't been to, outside of work because I get up, get my kids going, I'm doing my work. We go outside in the backyard for a little bit, go back in. And the only time we were doing anything was to go to Luke's house and play. That was pretty much it. So I was very thankful for that day to be able to just
go.
Yeah, to go. So I understand, David, because
I mean, I wish I could just up and go and go fishing or do whatever, but
I understand.
Without no transportation in certain spots, is kind of leave you lonely and isolated. It's just like a dark cloud.
I got you. Everybody needs everybody needs to be able to get out every once in a while. Everybody needs a bit of change. I know there's some people that are not, they don't like to be out in crowds, or they're kind of homebodies, but every once in a while they like to get out. Or people that are always on the move want to take a chance to sit down. Every once in a while, I've talked about it with Luke. Sometimes we're like, man, I just want to stay at home this weekend, because with my personal kids, I feel like every weekend there's a gymnastics meet where Cheney has baseball, Cheney has basketball, Cheney has football, and Zoe's got softball. And I'm like, I always feel like I'm busy. And so when I realize, I don't have anything this Friday, I'm like, wow.
Basketball season.
Yeah. And then after my volleyball season, I have about 3-week period, and also basketball kicks up where I'm busy 2 to 3 nights a week, sometimes 4. And that's fixing to wind down. And after that, then it's going to start Cheney's and Zoe's baseball and softball. So I understand, and because sometimes I'm just like, I just kind of want things to slow down. Which your situation, you're needing to get out.
I don't know. I feel like when you're isolated, time slows down, and you're just kind of like, man.
Oh yeah.
It's like I wake up in the morning. I'm just like, what am I going to do today?
Wake up in the morning.
Nothing.
That's silly. You wake up at 1, then you take a 5-hour quote unquote nap, and then in the middle of a text conversation.
Okay. That's if I'm staying up past 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, time out. No more talking from you. Ross, how long is a nap?
Huh?
How long is a nap?
Shoot, I'd say an hour on average.
Okay. Ryan, how long is a nap?
For me, not very long, ever at all.
Okay. Keen, how long is a nap?
I'm going to say 2 hours max. After that,
2 hours max.
Coma.
Okay, Ryan. So give me how long, not long is yours?
I mean, like for sometimes I feel like I nap for maybe like 30 minutes at most.
Okay, so we have an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes. That's 3.5 hours combined, David. And you went 5 hours.
Okay.
So
All right.
do you nap every night?
That's a medical
Me?
condition. That's not a nap.
Yeah. No, like, all right. There's times where I go to bed on time and I wake up super early, maybe like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun rises. Then I'm up all day, and then I'm just like, I just want to lay down and go to sleep. And then I'll say, I'll take a 30-minute nap and then do whatever. But then I'll just flat out go to sleep. And I wake up, it's like maybe midnight. I'm like, wow, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. So like I'm really hard on myself when I try not to nap that much or that long. Because I feel like I miss out on things like, going outside maybe or walking to the store. I feel like I miss out on doing normal things by just, falling asleep 5 hours, 6 hours at the most. That's
Well,
just how I feel.
I was one growing up where I always had to get up. I didn't want to sleep past 8 or 9 in the morning because I felt like I could get so much stuff done during the day. But I would stay up late because I was kind of a night owl, but that's how I was. Well, guys, anybody else have anything to comment on?
No, I'm good.
Has anybody
Pretty good.
Anybody watched the new Rock series?
I haven't yet. Is it good?
Jinx.
I actually like the first show. It's kind of interesting, which I've heard him talk about in some interviews and stuff about. Detective Wu is the guy who's interviewing him, so I thought that was kind of cool. But
I'm gonna check it out eventually. I just appreciate everybody thinking on a deeper level than, because like Randy, I told you today a little while ago about some tweets I commented on, that regarding The Last of Us, and just people who hated it because, well, you killed Joel. Yeah, they killed Joel, but like you're not thinking on a deeper level. You're not connecting with it on a deeper level, or even making an attempt. You just you look at what's on the surface, and because of that sole fact, you hate it. Like that's dumb.
So about character deaths, if they have a meaningful death that progresses the story, like that's as important as them having a main role in the life.
Mm-hmm.
I want my life to mean something, but I want my death to mean something too.
Yeah, everybody was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people boycotted Marvel after they killed Black Widow, or I ain't never watching them again. You killed Iron Man.
Without that death, though, like without Black Widow making that sacrifice, they don't win.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the reasons why there's these.
A meaningful death adds more to the story than a mundane one.
Yeah, there's the reason why these are the best movies that have come out in the past decade.
Yeah.
There's a reason why The Last of Us has won over nominated and won over 200 different awards.
Yeah.
Like these games don't suck. These movies don't suck by any means, but just because your favorite character died, look at it from a different angle, get a different perspective.
You need some
think on a deeper level than just what's on the surface. So that's what I love about our talks. We go in depth. We think about it from a different angle than just what we see on the surface.
Well, we each have our own opinion, whether you and I agree on a certain scene in WandaVision and Luke, Ryan, and David agree a different way, or we all 5 have a different version of what we think is going to happen in the next Avengers or WandaVision or the next Madden game. It's like it. Like I didn't, in The Last of Us, I didn't want Joel to die. I loved his character. I didn't want Iron Man to die. But to me, then again, that is so cool because now when I watch the WandaVision opening scene in the Marvel Studios thing, when they show like little scenes of the comics, and you see Captain America throw his shield and Hulk doing something, and then you see like right there on the side of the R or whatever it is, whichever letter, you see his hand come up and snap. Like that scene to me is just so cool because that was totally improv. That was not supposed to be his line. And for them to say, he needs to say, I am Iron Man. And then there it is. There's a scene. I think, going back into that real quick, they showed the lead a scene where like everybody started kind of kneeling, all the characters during that scene. I don't know. I think I'd kind of like to have seen that in the theater that night of all the characters kind of kneeling. I wish they wouldn't have taken that out, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But anywho, anybody got anything else before we end for the night?
Nope. I ain't got nothing.
All right. Well, Ross, Luke, Ryan, David, I love our chats. I wish we could all be in a studio somewhere and all hang out so we can actually see each other.
Syndicated radio, man.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But this isn't much, but I still love doing it. I know we've done a couple of random ones with Ross and Ron just to do it because I don't know, didn't really want to do one just on the Super Bowl because overall the game was kind of boring to me. I didn't have a dog in the fight, but just wanted as much action. And then basketball just kind of been blah recently, and so it hasn't really been much to talk about. So I figured we'd just do one big thing over Marvel.
I feel like both sports need to get their ejections, calls, and everything else right. I feel like NFL kind of misses stuff. The NBA does little technicals, and it ruins the game. It ruins the game for fans and the players out on the court.
Yeah, there was some bad calls this week, especially in the NBA.
I don't know.
All right. Well, that'll be it. If anybody has anything they want us to talk about in the future, you can comment to our podcasts. We are on Anchor. We are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just look up Titan Avenger Gaming or TAGaming, and you'll find us. We have all of our recent ones. And just any kind of topic you want us to tackle. If you don't agree with what we say and you want to argue with us, feel free to join us. I'm fine with that. And I'm sure the other four guys don't mind either if you want, because we all don't agree. If you've listened to any of our videos, we all have our own opinions on stuff. But if you want to,
two brothers, I can argue with anybody.
Yeah, if you think you want to be a Skip Bayless or a Stephen A. Smith, then come on, we'll take it on. Especially somebody's brother who never wants to join our podcast, William. But I would like for somebody to jump on here and let us have it.
Anyways, I think you only talk about Cam Newton, to be honest with you. So.
Well, I got my crap to say about Cam Newton, so I'm ready for William to come on, especially the stuff that he tried to throw at the little teenager. Even though the teenager shouldn't have done that, that's a whole different story. But Cam Newton should have been a bigger person and walked away. Anyways, all right, guys, appreciate for having y'all tonight, and look forward to future podcasts coming out here in the next week or two. Signing out.
All right.